Mr. Grégor Puppinck, who is speaking about the transformation of natural law in contemporary understanding of international human rights law. Professor Puppinck is director of the European Center for Law and Justice. In 2016, he was appointed member of the panel of experts on freedom of religion or belief of the OSCE, the role of which is to support OSCE participating states in implementing their commitments on the right to freedom of religion or belief. Since 2000, he regularly serves as an expert representing the Holy See in committees of the Council of Europe, currently in the Committee of Experts on the System of the European Conventions of Human Rights under the Steering Committee for Human Rights. He is the author of several books and numerous legal articles published in several languages. Professor Grégor?
Thank you very much. I will take it.
Perfect.
I would like to thank Your Eminence, Monseigneur, Professor. Your Eminence, Monseigneur, Professor. I would like to thank the organizers, especially Ligia Castaldi for organizing and Monseigneur Mazurkiewicz. It's a really pleasure to be with you today. And moreover, it is a pleasure to share friendship and intellectual pleasures together, and also some good meals together. So really, it's a real pleasure to be with you all during those 2 days, especially after those 2 years where we are far and not able to meet and to know each other. So thank you very much. I would like to continue what the discussion we had right now with Professor Weiler on the discussion on natural law and whether or not revelation is necessary for natural law. I tend to believe that unless you are a Greek philosopher, free from many things and able to contemplate the cosmos, it's very difficult to understand natural law without revelation. You need at least to understand human nature. And to understand human nature, you need either to receive the teaching of human nature, knowing that there is a God, creator, or you need to be very smart and to deduce from the cosmos that there is a human nature. And in contemporary days, it's very difficult to deduce from cosmos, especially with the increasing influence of technologies that demonstrates that we can change the nature. So biotechnologies tends to demonstrate that there is no real human nature, and therefore no natural law. And we know the issue with procreation, artificial procreation. So my personal belief is that yes, we need, yes, it may be possible for some elite, philosophical elite, to recognize human nature in the cosmos and therefore natural law. But if you want to be more convincing, it is necessary to go at least back to the creation. The difference is whether or not we have been created by a will, or we are the result of just hazard and evolution. This is a big choice we have to make. Are we created? If we are created, we receive our nature. And if we are created by a God who loves us, we receive our nature and dignity, if God loves us. Some people, the Gnostics, may believe that the gods don't love human beings. Or some people believe that the creators are not good. They made plenty of mistakes. So it may not even be sufficient to believe that there is one creator or several creators. it is in addition necessary to believe that the creator or the creators is or are good. Therefore, our nature is received and our nature is good. But if God is bad, our nature is bad. And we must change it. So we have to make the choice. So this alternative, and just to finish, this is what we have in common with the Jewish, is that we believe that God is a person and is good. And so we believe we receive from God this nature and this good nature and this relationship in addition. I don't know where this comes from, if we can stop it. So this is I think my answer to the my personal answer to the discussion. And we cannot, this is why we cannot today really separate natural law discourse from a good creator. Now, going back, making the link to law, we shall come back to the notion of dignity that has been discussed right before. It's quite easy to speak about dignity. The concept of dignity is some kind of consensual concept, but it is also very ambiguous concept. And so I think that it is not sufficient to speak about the dignity of the human person. We need to define what is dignity. Depending on your understanding of what means dignity, you arrive to opposite human rights interpretations and understandings. Even if a constitution mentions dignity, like the German constitution or the Polish constitution, you may arrive to opposite solutions. And we all know that the same concept of dignity, yes, if you can stop the noise, it would be nice. We all know that the same concept of dignity can be used in support of euthanasia or against. So the concept of dignity is not sufficient. What does it mean? This is the question. I think that depending on your understanding of dignity, you will have opposite understanding of human rights, opposite interpretation. This is what can explain the fact that between 1948 to today, we arrived to opposite solutions in regard to human rights. How can we explain that practices like euthanasia or abortion that were clearly against human dignity, against human rights in 1948, are today considered as human rights based on dignity? So there has been a reversal on the understanding of dignity, and as a consequence, a reversal on the understanding and interpretation of human rights. So it's not sufficient to speak of. But maybe I will move up. Yes, thank you. Because I was starting to have a headache. So, it is not sufficient to speak about human dignity, clearly. And this, once again, leads us to the same question as Professor Weiler raised, the mention of God. Can we omit God just speaking about dignity? Is it sufficient? I believe it is not. So now I will start a bit reading. The general idea is to say that there are mainly, we can simplify, and there are mainly two opposite understandings of human dignity that leads to two opposite understandings of human rights. This distinction depends on your understanding of the relationship between the body and the soul. Depending on your understanding of this relationship between the body and the soul, you have two opposite understandings of the dignity. Each vision of this relationship depends at the end on your belief or not in God. If you believe in God, you believe, as I said, that you have been created as body and soul, and that it is good if you believe that God is good. And therefore you receive your human nature, and therefore we can deduce your human rights from this human nature that is received from God, which is good. If you don't believe in God, or if you believe that the body is bad, like did some Gnostic tradition, people in the tradition, or Plato, therefore you will think that your dignity is only in your will. The fact that you are spiritual, you can think, that distinguishes you from the animals, and therefore you will disregard the body and only consider as human what comes from the will, which is your autonomy, and therefore limit your understanding of human rights to the will. So those are the two visions of dignity, what I call the incarnate dignity and the disembodied dignity. Incarnate and disembodied dignity, those two visions of human dignity leads to opposite understanding of our value and our rights. So first, let's go now quick to the incarnate dignity. So in the tradition of Aristotle and Christian tradition, man is by nature the harmonious union of a body and a soul. This human nature is worthy in that it is at the image of the Creator. Summing to Aristotle and the Gospel, St. Thomas Aquinas insists that man is worthy with his body, even if it is by virtue of his reason and his freedom that he is the image of God. Aristotle already emphasizes that the soul and the body are one, because there cannot be living body without a soul. Their opposition, like do the dualist, is an illusion. The Genesis also says that that he is a living soul, God having breathed into man a breath of life. Saint Augustine insists as well that the proper of man is to be the union of soul and body, unlike angels who have no body, and unlike animals who do not have a spiritual soul. The characteristic of man is to be both at once, while other animate beings, animals and plants, are like prisoners of their nature, conditioned by it. The man has a certain freedom that makes him capable and responsible for his accomplishment. This conception, from conception to death, the whole effort of a human life consists in each one of fulfilling in ourselves the potentialities of this human nature in order to humanize oneself. The more he becomes human, the more he be witnessed to human dignity. So the more you become human, the more you accomplish your potentialities, the more you be witness to the dignity of our human nature. So being fully human is a way to honor God and honor our nature and accomplish our nature and honor God. This duty, the Romans called it Humanitas. So human nature is both a potential, we have to accomplish it, and it is a potential that we have to accomplish through our life. So by recognizing their dignity, men thus oblige each other to respect in themselves and in the other their common 5 minutes, dignity. Men thus oblige each other to respect in themselves and in the others a common nature, that is, to live with dignity. It is this dignity it is this duty to oneself and others, because of the dignity of our common humanity, that generates obligation. Natural and mutual duties and rights are generated by this common human nature, and this common duty to accomplish our human nature. By the opposite, the disembodied dignity, and I think I will have to quickly have an opposite vision. Conversely, the disembodied conception of dignity recognizes the value of man only in his intellectual capacities. This thought has very old roots. Already Plato and Socrates say, as long as we have our body and our soul is bogged down in this corruption, we will never possess the object of our desires, that is the truth. For Plato, the body is the prison of the soul, whereas for St. Paul, the body is a temple of the spirit. So we really have to choose whether we consider our body as a prison or as a temple. This is really the choice we have to make. If you choose the temple, then you accomplish it. And by accomplishing it, you worship. And at the end, you are happy. You flourish and you accomplish yourself and you find joy. But if you choose a prison, if you consider your body as a prison, you will always try to escape from your body. You will try to dominate, you will try to enslave your body. And the more you enslave your body, the more you will have the impression that you are more human, because you will dominate your body. The more you will have the impression to dominate your body, the more you will have the impression that your will is more elevated. So this disembodied, this Gnostic vision of dignity found new energy with the evolutionist vision of the human history, which opposed clearly to the creation. If you believe that human being is a result of a process of evolution from the matter to the life, to the spirit, and that this process is endless, then you believe that the process of humanization is endless, and you believe that your human dignity is the fact of freeing yourself from matter. And so the more evolutioned the man is, the more human he would be, and the more dignity he would have. And this disembodied understanding of human dignity creates a deep separation and opposition between our spiritual part and our physical part. It creates a division, it opposes each other, and it disregards the body. This is how we can understand that practices like euthanasia are considered as an expression of our dignity, because it proves the domination of the will over the body. I can decide to kill myself. It shows that I am human, because my spirit, my will, dominates the matter. Abortion is the same. She decides, I decide. I can decide on the life. I dominate my body. But to some extent also change of sex. I can decide to change my body. I decide what I am. My self-will dominates my body, even if my body says the contrary. I can say the opposite. And this is what I say, what my will wants, that is the reality, the true human reality. And if you don't recognize that it is the reality, therefore you don't recognize my humanity. You deny the fact that I can decide, I can be above matter. You deny the fact that I can be above my own body. Therefore you deny my humanity. So we have to choose between the temple and the prison. We have to choose between the accomplishment of the human nature and the endless quest for power over the matter. One leads to accomplishment and happiness, bonheur. The other one leads to perpetual insatisfaction and sufferings. Because at the end, it is clear that someone who always fights against himself, against his body, will never enjoy peace and accomplishment. So will be in a perpetual fight. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Puppinck.